Hey there, commercial construction coffee talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corson, and I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation magazine. This is what it used to look like. I'm pulling out the archives. This is actually January, February 2006. Mr. Dan Wisk, Vice President Construction. Anyway, this was a great looking issue of 24-hour fitness, and always like looking at this one. Was 164 pages, and it looks like I was up on the mountain at the top of Vale in the inner tube. That's what I was doing way back then in January of '06. One thing, Dan Wisk passed away this year, and may rest in peace. He was one of the best guys I ever knew. He was at LA Fitness. He was just finishing up at Hertz. I think he was at a grocery store anyway. We're gonna miss Dan. And Dan, if you're up there, thanks for gracing the cover and coming to all my events. He was on my editorial board, and I just pulled this out of the box, and I didn't realize it until I just saw it. But anyway, Dan, we'll miss you all. So, with that said, hope everybody had a great Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah's over too. Now you got we're ringing in the New Year's here over the weekend. You spent time with family and friends. Hopefully you didn't talk any politics and you just had some fun. My son just came up for Boeing. I haven't seen him. He's been here for about 10 days, and he'll be going back, and won't see him for another month and a half or so. But it's good having the son back home, and mom's happy. He's eating like a king, and it's just hey, your kids leave the house. Even when they come back, they're your kids. I don't care if they're 25 or 45 or whatever. It's just my wife's just on cloud nine having the kid there. So anyway, thanks for chiming in, over the holidays. A lot of people taking, they took off before Christmas, maybe after Christmas, maybe do before New Year's, maybe they took 2 weeks off. Myself, I'm kind of just catching up over the, so I can start my year off clean. Like to clean out my email box, get my office clean, and get ready to go to do it all over again. But 2023, been a wild and crazy year, and I'm ready to close the books on it. I'm still sitting on the roller coaster, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to have to tighten my belt, because I think 2024, man, it's just going to be a wild ride. I think they've got some more loop-de-loops on the roller coaster that we're all on. So tighten that belt on, and you'll still be talking at the end of the year. But before I start, I want to talk about this stuff. Oh, I just dropped the bottle. It's called Magic Mind. I got an email, and they said, hey, we'd like to be an ambassador about this, but we want you to try it first. And I don't endorse anything that I don't try. I don't care if it's athletic equipment, vitamins, and all this stuff. And anyway, Magic Mind, it's basically, it helps you have clarity in your mind. As you get older, you think that your mind's slipping, or if you drink too much caffeine, you get the jitters, or if you take vitamins, they give you that kind of buzz. And I don't drink coffee. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't drink. I don't do any of that stuff. I'm kind of pretty much, believe me, I partied and all that all over my life, but I haven't drank over 30 years. And anyway, I do take vitamins in the morning, but sometimes they give me a nice buzz, and but they wear off, eventually during the day. And I was looking for something. Anyway, they sent me this email, and they said, look, go to Sprouts. They're carrying it. And so I bought a box of, I think it was either I bought 6 bottles, and they said try it for 3 days and see what happened. So every morning I get up early, drink some Magic Mind, and believe it or not, it really does it keeps you focused. I mean, as a publisher, I have so many emails, and I do my to-do list the night before, and I'm just trying to get through my day. Before you know it, your day's done. And I've been in these digital classes over the last 90 days, finishing my year up, launching my digital agency, and concentration and just being at the top of your game is so important, because time is money. So I drank the Magic Mind, and it's got 12 ingredients. And one of the ingredients that I really like about it is it's called matcha, which is it's basically more powerful than green tea. I think it's got 130 times the amount of ingredients that are in green tea, but it's really easy on your stomach. And you take it over a couple of days, and you'll start feeling that you're just your mind, listen, I get up early in the morning, 5 in the morning, and try to get as much stuff as I can get done. And then I go into my day and do my to-do list. But in that morning, it's very quiet when I can concentrate. But by teaching the magic mind, stuff's awesome. I mean, I really, I, I'm, I don't believe anything until I try it. It's just like when a new automobile comes out. I never want to buy the first iPhone or the first new truck. I want them to work out the kinks. So when I got the email, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go try it and see if I like it. If I like it, I'm going to pitch it. So we drank it for 3 days, these little bottles. And anyway, it's it's something that if you drink a lot of coffee, and caffeine, there's all these debates if it's good for you or not. But I'll tell you, it's much better than caffeine. I get better sleep. I don't wake up groggy at all. And I mean, sleep is probably the most important thing that I think that anybody needs, in my opinion. But myself, as I just turned 60 this year, I don't get that much sleep these days. But I would like to, if I could get an extra hour or two of just good, heavy sleep, REM sleep, where your eyes are twiddling and all that, that's where I would want to be. And but like I said, this little bottle, it's got 12 ingredients, all natural. You can find it at Sprouts. And in the description, I will put the discount code and all that that you need to it. And if you're looking for something that will replace your vitamins or maybe be an enhancement to them, if you want to keep taking them as supplements, and if you want to get off coffee, you don't like that jittery feeling, and you don't get that much sleep or whatever, this little bottle, and it tastes pretty good too. This little bottle of Magic Mind could be probably one of the best things that you try in January of 2024. If there's a Sprouts near you, you can go in and buy it and get the discount, or you can go on magicmind.com and look at it and try it yourself. And I always tell people, look, try it. If you like it, go for it. If not, you you, you haven't lost anything except you don't like it. But in my mind, I kind of like Magic Mind. I'm gonna put it into my daily activity, and it's also kind of you don't have to drink the whole bottle. Like you can drink half of it, and then if you need a little boost in the afternoon, you can do that as well. I mean, sometimes I might be like, especially when I'm proofing my issues, I might be looking at a 170-page issue, and by the time I have to look at it multiple times, and we're trying to make sure everything looks right. And I can believe me, being a publisher for 25 years, you can look at something 1,000 times, and then as soon as it's printed, there's that typo that was staring you in the face. So anyway, try Magic Mind. It's very, very cool. I'm gonna put it into my regimen every day in 2024, and you won't go wrong. So with that said, I've got a nice gentleman up in Denver, Pennsylvania, not Colorado. Yes, there is a Denver, Pennsylvania. His name is Mr. Ralph Buckles. He's the chief estimator at Eno Enterprises. Uh, Ralph, say hello to our listeners out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk.
Hello, folks. It's a privilege to be here.
Yeah, did you have a Merry Christmas? And
I did. I got a chance to visit with my kids and some other extended family. I'm privileged to be here today. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
no, we welcome the opportunity. Actually, Ralph was buds with the gentleman who helped us launch our federal construction uh, section in the magazine, and we became friends over the years. And he's a new advertiser in the magazine. He jumped on board, and we were talking, and he's like, "Hey, I'd like to be on the podcast." And I said, "Yeah, sure. We can finish the year off before I kind of change my background." And well, let's get it on there. Let's look at the schedule. So here we are on the 28th of December. You got one more day in the weekend, another holiday weekend, and then we'll get this on, our next email blast. So, Ralph, welcome to the show.
Thank
The way
you.
we do it, we're going to do it in three parts. You're
hmm
going to tell your story, where you grew up, where you went to school, how you ended up where you are at Eno today. Then we'll talk about the roller coaster that we've all been on over the last 3.5 years, lessons learned, and anything new that you see in estimating and project management, et cetera. And then you'll leave one positive thought or phrase in your contact info with our listeners. So with that said, the floor is yours. Tell us your story.
Thank you so much. I grew up in central Pennsylvania, out in the edge of the farm country. Moved while in high school to a more metropolitan area. And from there, I went to school at LeTourneau, which is a hands-on engineering school in East Texas. picked up a electrical engineering tech degree. It's a full BS degree. No BS comments there, folks.
Yeah.
But I had to learn how to weld. I had to learn how to be in the machine shop. And I wound up, going through college, making my own way. Parents didn't provide it, and so I had to work. I was either working as a hazmat laborer or as an electrician. So I still have my electrician's tools. I still work in that trade in the renovations area for my own home and my own property, and occasionally helping other people. So that's where I started, was in the electrical and the environmental remediation field. And as the markets moved around, I was able to drive my wife totally crazy with working 3 years in one place and then 3 years in another place and 3 years in another place, because I learned what I could about each of the disciplines. One being electrical, another being environmental cleanups of the industrial vacuuming and cleaning and spill response and things like that, and working 7 days a week and drinking too much coffee and getting chest pains when you're just in your 20s. You're not supposed to
Oh
have chest
yeah.
then.
Hmm.
You're not supposed to have chest pains at all, but definitely not in the 20s. Um, and from there, got into classical estimating. I got picked up by an engineering firm and put under the wing of a chief estimator, and very grateful for that break into that. And we were using we first started on the handwritten estimating sheets, and
Yeah, I
then
was gonna say you probably use the slide rule tool, right?
no, it was an HP calculator.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah, with reverse Polish notation. But from there, I was working as an estimator, multi-disciplines, environmental and the electrical, and then moved over to an adjacent firm and wound up being their chief estimator, uh, and competing against the firm that I left. So from there, that was in the Philadelphia marketplace. I was working the tri-state area up into New York, Long Island, things of that nature. Primarily the industrial commercial marketplace. A little bit of the Superfund work for the feds, but not that much. And then the marketplace fell out, and I got laid off. I got laid off in the mid 90s from a very good chief estimating spot. And I go, oh my goodness, I still have to feed my family. I had a family of 4 kids, wife, mother-in-law that was living with us. And so I opened up my own firm, picked up as a cost consultant, cost engineer, picked up work. People wanted help writing estimates.
Hmm.
So I did that for a while until I got into the federal marketplace down in the DC, Baltimore, Washington area. Had a friend call me up and say, hey, there's an opening down here. You need to come down. And I got to go to work for people like ICF Kaiser. And then from there went over to Bechtel and worked a job in the Aberdeen Proving Ground. So that was a blast. I mean, it
I'm
was
sure.
you talk about working for the bigs. I was honored. I was truly privileged. Was working there as what they call a change management specialist, glorified cost estimator, looking at change orders. But that's okay. That's what I that's what I do.
Yeah. Hmm.
Cost it, change order it, and chat with the sub and go, could you go back and take a look at this, please? We need you to, either go back and revise your numbers, or you missed something. You need to revise your numbers again, go the other direction.
Hmm.
And, working fair play, win-win scenarios. And then as time progressed, went from the bigs, which is the Bechtel, the ICF Kaisers, over to the minority contractors, which wound up being a series of Alaskan Native corporations. And they had the contracts, but they were missing infrastructure on estimating, scheduling, change management, cost tracking, things of that nature. And I got to help implement some of the skills and lessons learned from the big contractors back into the minority contractors. And it was, quite the run, because you could only work 4 or 5 years at one firm. They ran out of contracts, and then you moved over to another one of the Alaskan Native corporations. And, you know, by doing the right things with the right people, you tend, as the managers move, they tend to pull you along. Or if you break into a marketplace and the manager is, in a coast mode, you kind of pull that manager back over and get to work for the same boss again. So across a 30+ year marketplace work, I've worked for basically 2 different teams of, staff, one in the environmental business and then one in the heavy Baltimore, Washington marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And it's absolutely a blast working with the same teams, because you know what everybody's skill sets are, and you get to work within that. So I'm truly, truly privileged. But since then, I've reinstituted my own firm and have been picking up work both in engineering firms as well as contracting, for contracting. The marketplace is getting wonderfully wild and crazy. I spent about a 3-year stint working for the big pharma people, and they recruited me because I had background in scheduling and estimating of the $500 million magnitude. And a couple of my contracts within the federal marketplace were 5-year, $500 million contracts that we put in place, all of that contracting money. So it wasn't just an empty shell. It was an empty shell that we used up all the money.
Right.
And we did it with subcontractors, and we did it with direct hire staff, where we hired our own craft. We bought our own equipment. And then, when the projects were done, that equipment and staff was ready to go on to other profit-making operations. So these were some of the marketplaces I've been in. Within the government sector, I was working coast to coast with Department of Defense and Department of Energy. And the months from June through October 1 in the federal marketplace will make a young man gray-haired or no-haired quickly.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know it, the federal government, their budget ends on the end of September, and they start their budget on October 1st.
That's
So
correct.
if you're in the federal sector doing business, a lot of they're kind of like everybody else. It slows down during the holidays, but then it picks back up. But then during that mid-year to the end of the budget, they want to get everything done, because if they have any projects left over that they didn't get done, they might not be able to get them put in. And just like anything else, if you don't spend the money, you're not going to get it back. But the
Right.
government, it's the largest contractor in the world. They've been doing business for 200 years, and they just want it done. So my wife and I are federal contractors, and Ralph and I have gone through a couple of proposals that we've gone through and stuff, and it's just a different world of kind of company to do business with. But if you can get the business, it's a numbers game. It's very fruitful. Correct?
That's correct. And the feds will pay, and they'll pay for change orders that are correctly documented and correctly packaged to where they go, yes, we owe you that money, and then they pay you. It might not be timely, like, commercial, residential work, but you do get paid, and they are usually large contracts, large dollar operations. So, you probably don't want to use the same percentage markup on federal work that you do for your commercial industrial work, because you won't get the job. But the magnitude of the work is tremendously different. I was in my credentials of things that, I've been privileged to do. I had to actually spend time in the field. I wasn't just a desk jockey. I wasn't one where I was just, oh, send me the pictures and send me the drawings and send me the specs. Um, I sat out in the job trailer doing estimates while I was keeping an eye on quality control of the projects. And I would go walk the site every morning, walk the site in the afternoon. And, some days I was pulling samples, whether the samples is the dirt clean or not. That's a whole different story of,
Right.
dirty dirt and not dirty dirt. So it comes with a quality control management certification from the Corps of Engineers and the U.S. Navy to do work on Department of Energy work in some secure operations. Um, I took on the opportunity to do a quality assurance management. I was the quality assurance manager for, the QA for the corporation, as well as the chief estimator for the operation. And I would actually go do the site walks. This particular site happened to be in North Texas. So I would go in, spend time with the team. We would walk the job site, put together the bulk of the pricing right there. And then I would come off site, finish it up,
Yeah.
share it with them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then we would put the bid in. So I was, credentialed on a bunch of different DOE sites, and it's been a fun ride coast to coast. I've been to the point now where I'm starting to go into sites where I have been before.
Yeah. And
And,
what are we
and it,
doing?
yeah, and the thing is, when you go into the site, you go, "Hey, is that restaurant for that special kind of barbecue still around?" And they go,
Yeah.
"How do you know about that?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I was here, yeah. Mhm. There's a location right around. It was first it was an Ecker drugstore, closed it down, and I knew the guy that built it. His
mhm,
name is Steve Fisher. Steve, if you're out there, I'm saying hello to you. Anyway, he built it. It was an Eckerd. Then they shut it down. Then they reopened it. Then they shut it down. Then it became like a kangaroo jumping thing, and then it became something else. Didn't make it, and then they tore it down, and now it's a Chase Bank. But the weirdest thing was I saw Steve at an event, I don't know, a couple of years back, and we were talking. He goes, "Yeah, I actually built that store. I renovated it several times, and then
mhm,
I had to go tear it down and build the bank there." How many contractors have you talked to that have gone and had tear down something that they had actually built and then rebuild something else?
mhm.
It was a crazy story. So that story right there, where how did you know that? Well, I've been here before. You
Yeah,
know? Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Don't let the gray hair fool you. I might have been here before. So,
yeah. Exactly, exactly.
so that's. I mean, I've had an absolute blast in this marketplace. It was kind of by default as an estimator. I didn't want to do PM work because I had a family and I needed
Mhm.
to be home periodically. When I look back on my career, that's not over. Okay, I spent um, good bit of time on the road. I was home weekends,
Yeah.
um, and but that's what happens when you're taking care of family.
Hmm.
It's family first, and you get them taken care of, and everything else queues up. So that's kind of the neat thing about this holiday season. Whichever holiday it is you're following, you get time with family. So cherish that time. That's as you were talking about with your son. I got time with all four of my kids between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So
Yeah, when we're done with this video, he's getting his truck lifted, and someone had ran into him on the Boeing facility and get dented his bumper. So he just bought a bumper, and he's getting his truck lifted on Friday tomorrow. So he and I are going to go take the other bumper off. It's only about 6 or 8 bolts, but then there's some electrical stuff in there. So he just went to get I forget what kind of tool he was going to go buy, but we'll go play Master Mechanics here in the afternoon outside in the driveway, putting the other bumper on. So I'll probably take a video of it and put it up on TikTok or something. But anyway, it Yeah, it's one of those things. Getting the truck lift, I'm like, hey, pay someone to do that, but I'll help you with the bumper. We'll take that off. And, I want to see what's in the box anyway. So, well, let's talk about the last 3.5 years. You look back January of 2020, everything's booming, cranes everywhere, low unemployment, construction booming. Doesn't matter if you're on the commercial, federal, or industrial side, everything was just cranking along. Finding PMs and supers was the biggest thing.
Mhm.
And then March 2020 comes, everything stops. Fast forward 3.5 years, we're out of the tunnel, but we're still kind of talking about it. And there's still a labor shortage, and products have come down and they go up or what have you. Talk about how you weathered the storm there, and any new lessons that our listeners out there in commercial construction coffee talk might find of interest.
Yes, I was one of the fortunate ones or unfortunate ones that was working 40 to 50 hours a week from my home remote location, supporting teams that were carrying paperwork that allowed them to go into client facilities in the DC metro area to get work done because we were getting cut change orders where, here, get this done before everybody comes back. Here, get this done before everybody comes back. And it was like push, 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 push. And it was like my folks, guys and gals, myself included, were like, we're tired. We are
Hmm.
really tired. The thing that did work was the technology. So if anything, the commercial people, I want you to know that these remote worker folks that have come through the federal marketplace, they are tried and true because people like myself have used the technology. We brought infrastructure into our home offices, whether they're, adjacent to our home or in our home, that work. And now that we've come out of the tunnel, as you call it, I've had people go, well, I want you in my office. And I go, I can do the same job, maybe not as your chief estimator, but as your main estimator. See, a chief is one that helps with the mentoring. It helps with senior management. It interacts with senior management all the time. But as a regular estimator, I'm going to tell you, remote workers are now here. You
Yeah.
know, if they can show you the credentials that they've done it, believe them. They've done it. Um, so that's one of the cool things. And what that does is that raises response time of the team. It also has a high level of efficiency and a lower cost because you, the employer, are not paying for space. You're not paying for another desk and chair and lights and electric. You actually have a more nimble team that can be anywhere. I mean, I support teams all over the country from my home in Pennsylvania across 3 and 4 time zones. Now, I have to juggle that. I have to be careful how I do that to maintain my personal time, my time to go be in a yoga class, go get my head cleared out. But between the drink that you were talking about earlier, Dave, and yoga, yeah, those particular items make us better people. We're more focused, we're more clear, and it works. So that's some of the stuff that I wanted to make sure that the last 3.5 years has shown us. The one other thing that I'm seeing a major concern as I coach businesses, because that's part of what an estimator does, is to coach
Mhm.
business owners, is this software that's been coming out called PM software. Make sure the PM software that you're using for your Salesforce or for your combination of Salesforce and logging project stuff matches what you do in your business. The point I'm going to try to drive home very carefully is that a lot of this software is set up for federal contracting. It has all these must-dos, policies, procedures. You must do it like this. But on the commercial side, you don't have to do some of that stuff. The essence of it is the right thing to do. Quality control is the right thing to do. Making sure you have materials on site before you open up a new segment of the work is the right thing to do. But all of the paperwork of you must have a check sheet, you must have, all this things to do that the feds require you to do might not fit your commercial or your pharmaceutical or your residential marketplace. Please, please get the software that you want to use and the accounting software to align. That way, um, you're not going through a lot of confusion and your staff doesn't rebel on you. Because if your staff is spending 2, 3, 4 days a month, not just doing your billing, but a day a week doing paperwork, because that's what the machinery says you have to do. But it's like, I don't need that to
Mm-hmm.
do the work. Make sure it's matched. In the federal marketplace, that's the cost of doing business. Yes, you're going to have to do the documentation. Yes, you're going to have to do the detailing. Yes, you have to have all your I's dotted and T's crossed and, hold it for 5 or 7 years. Yes, you have to do that, but not in your other marketplaces. I mean, Dave's magazine, the commercial magazine, touches the other marketplaces, and that's what's so neat about your magazine, Dave. It's
Mm-hmm.
it touches the other areas.
Well, listen, I reached out to Ralph to overlook my budget when we were because we're trying to break ground here in the beginning of the year to get our empty nester house done up on the lake, and I had sent him the budget, and he found some things that weren't on there, and it was just listen, you always want to have another set of eyes, just like when we proof. I'm not the only one to proof. We have 4 or 5 people, and the more people that you can have that look at it, but just that little exercise of you think you'd think of everything, but there was this left off, there was that left off, this was a little high, that was a little low, and it was just a nice little exercise between both of us.
Thank you.
And we're doing it remotely,
Yeah.
and you know, so listen, it's all about listen, when you get the project done, you always want to be on budget or below it, have it
Hmm.
architecturally stimulating, and when you turn over the keys, that your end user client is a happy camper in my book. So whenever if you overestimate or overestimate is great because even if you don't spend the money, it's going to come back to you. But then underestimating, my opinion, is
Mm.
uh, it's a bummer because you got to
Yeah.
find that
Yeah.
money. You can pad it wherever you are on your budget, but you just you just want to be sure, or as close as possible. Uh,
Hmm.
and uh, I'll tell you, we were watching a video, my wife and I, last night on framing, and they had this inspector. He's got a YouTube channel, and he's an inspector, and he's going through, and he goes, "Hey, I'm gonna have fun today. Watch this." And he goes through this framing project. Oh, he needs bolts down there. Oh, he needs a wrap up there. And we're both looking at each other, going, "Oh my God, we bet who's our framer?" And anyway, and I'm like, that's enough to give you. That's enough to keep you up at night. I don't care what you take. That's enough to keep you stressed out watching these videos. But like anything, they came back. He had a follow up video. He's like, "Hey, I went back. They fixed this. Oh, they still haven't done this, but they got most of it done. So, that's a good thing. But I'd rather know than not know. And um, so estimating, it's all, listen, without estimating, you can't get a project done, in my opinion. I mean, you can still get it built, but
Right.
are you going to get it built on budget? No. And every day I get estimators. They don't read they must not check my web address out, but hey, we do estimating, we do this and we do that. Listen, estimators are kind of like doctors. There's a ton of them out there, but there's only, when you pick your doctor, you want to be with him for like 20, 30 years because he knows everything about you. So I treat estimators just like I would my doctor, or my attorney or my CPA. He knows everything about me. He knows everything, they're going to know everything about the project. If you don't pick the right one, your project's not going to go smoothly. So as we finish up the year, I just thought it was timely to have Ralph on to talk about, these things. And I'm sure they all hit home, as far as that goes. Um, is there anything cool that you see in the estimating world as we move into 2024 that, is on the horizon that you have any inklings of that our listeners out there might find of interest? If not, not
Yeah,
a big deal either.
I do. You
Okay.
partially stole my fire at the very beginning with the
Sorry about that.
no, you didn't know, but you and I are seeing very similarities as we go into 2024. I can't tell you what the changes will be. Okay, sometimes I can actually look ahead and be somewhat accurate as to what I'm seeing, where the marketplaces are going. I'm just going to tell you to borrow your analogy, fasten your seatbelt. It needs to be a 3-point harness, not just a lap belt, and keep your teams nimble, keep them with their families as much as possible because this is going to be a rock and roll year. We're going some places where there's going to be change come in and you're going to go, well, this is a bucket of lemons. And I'm going to say, I think it's lemonade.
Yeah, lemonade.
Um, so that's where my mindset is. How do we take a change condition and make it good for a win-win, not a win-lose? Client doesn't lose. It's win-win. It's
Right.
it's both pieces. So that's what I would want to leave. Just be ready for change. It's coming. Don't let it spook you. Don't fear it. No fear. You,
What's your take on AI and cost estimating? What's your thoughts there?
I don't like it for estimating because AI doesn't know the marketplace. It doesn't know the detailing. It doesn't know existing conditions. One of the examples of early AI was some of these piping softwares that would give you complete isometric views with complete takeoffs on the new construction. But the problem was matching the new construction to the old when they didn't have as-built drawings.
Hmm.
So if you're using AI, go gently and test for that. Look for it. If you're in only the green, what we call the green or the new build marketplace, maybe it'll work. Most of my work has been design, bid, build, and design, build work in areas that are existing conditions. I've done a lot of renovations, big renovations. I've done a lot of the existing conditions, changing them for reuse, recycled properties. And you go,
Hmm.
recycling properties? Yes. Clean them up and reuse them.
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of those next year. You
Right.
know, we all know about the commercial real estate market and the occupancy rate, and all the notes are coming into play. And there'll be some, I'm sure there'll be some good deals out there for some commercial real estate. But what are you going to do with those buildings? How are you going to
Right.
repurpose them? You're not going to tear them down. What do you do with them all? And uh, through this past year, I went back out on the road, and some of the cities I went into, I'm sure that you can guess which ones they were, but people would say, yeah, people don't come into the city Monday or Fridays. If you're going to catch someone, it's either going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Right.
If they say they live here, they work here, they're probably working out of their house, and it's uh, but in our world, like in renovation, it's a good thing. I always read the paper. I used to, but I look at all stuff online. You look at, oh, so and so is going to close 30 stores, but they're opening 4 or 5 paragraphs down, but they're opening 10 big ones, so 10 new ones. And the biggest thing is that even if they're repurposing them or purchasing another chain, that means new signage, new paint, new color. So in
Mhm.
our world, it's really not a bad thing. And there's nothing wrong with getting rid of a dog store that was, not bringing in the revenue, or
Right.
maybe the demographics had changed. Look at San Francisco. Then there's no retail stores left on Union Square because of the theft and so forth. Now, down the road, if that changes, which I hope it does, will those stores come back? Yeah, absolutely. So, but the the point I was trying to make was that that uh, in our world, I actually when I went when the economy fell off the cliff, I bought both my partners out in 2008, and I was called commercial construction, and renovation was the gig. So that's how I added renovation to the magazine because that was kind of what was going on at the time. Now, but that's how I figured things out. And but repurpose is going to be a huge, huge issue next
It
year.
will. Yes,
It
it will.
will. And for those of you who are out there and thinking of it, you know that you know that I'm telling the truth here because there are just a ton of commercial real estate out there that people are not going to know what they're going to do with, and they have to figure out. Like when I was in Denver in Denver, Colorado, it was right after the oil boom bust, and
Mhm.
all the buildings downtown Denver, they were all empty. They had built all these skyscrapers. They were when the oil bust, and boom. Uh, but now they're all full, and they've done a ton of construction down there. Just like I grew up in Pottstown. We were talking about the pharmaceutical side.
Right.
Between Pottstown and King of Prussia, there
Hmm.
was a 422 bypass. That was all rolling fields. Still the Limerick atomic, the nuclear power plant was still there,
Right.
but it was all just cornfields all the way to King of Prussia.
Or
No, no. So my grandmother, she passed away. I don't know, probably it's been 10 years. I hadn't been home forever. I flew into Allentown, went down Route 100, stayed overnight, went to the funeral, and then I flew out of Philly. So I took the bypass, and I was blown away
yes.
at all the pharmaceutical I mean, I'm telling you, this was a good 10, 15-mile road that was just rolling cornfields and just beautiful, beautiful countryside. And now all just built up with urban sprawl. Not that that's a bad thing, but it was just unbelievable where it was. And same thing in Denver, between Colorado Springs and Denver, there was really nothing down between on I-25. Now they've got the train. It's just like a massive corridor of just new construction and so forth. So
Yep.
uh, I always look at, like you said, you look at lemonade. It's not say it's lemonade. So I always look at the glass half full. So next year, even though we might have a gluttony of extra commercial real estate that might be there, there'll be a lot of really good deals. And if you were thinking about either upsizing or downsizing or moving your offices, you'll have ample opportunity. You just got to be in the right place at the right time. And and you can you'll find your answer out there.
That's correct.
It really is. When he said the three harness, I should have said that because you're going to need that extra harness, not just the lap. You're going to need the harness next year because it's going to be a rough ride for some people.
Yeah.
And but stay positive and keep the faith because
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
do it. And keep your mind clear, drink some Magic Mind, and
And,
the
and read the commercial construction magazine that you've got there. Yeah,
yeah.
it's the it's good stuff. It's got good detailing. It's got good connectivity with the various marketplaces.
Yeah, we have no fluff in there. I mean, there's not much fluff.
No.
But we try to, listen, I'm still a builder, so we build this thing, every month, even though I don't use paper and ink anymore. We still build that, and I can say every month, I built that. And the last issue was awesome. I was just talking to my editor before I got on here, and I was like, "Hey, what's coming up?" He goes, "Oh man, we got so much content. I don't know what we're going to do with it all." I'm like, "Yeah, we're just going to put it in the magazine. We just got to figure out the best way to put the jigsaw puzzle together and figure things out." I'm an estimator. I'm a project manager. I'm a builder. I'm all those things when I put the magazine together. It's a jigsaw puzzle. We like to keep our folios 50-50.
Mhm.
We want to get maximum exposure as much as we can on social media. How am I going to get that done? And but it's been very, very uh, exciting. And listen, I thought I knew a lot, but I learned something new every day. So uh,
We
if
all
what's that?
we all do
Uh,
if we're engaged.
yeah, exactly. So if someone wanted to reach out to you and then maybe they're having issues with the project and the numbers don't look right or so forth, how would they get in touch with you, Ralph?
Well, they go through my email. It's RALPH, the letter B, and then Buckles, BUCKLES, at gmail.com. It's all lowercase. There's no spaces, commas, dots, hyphens. That's an old email. Or my phone number at 717-278-1143. So it's a privilege to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so Ralph B. Buckles at gmail.com and his phone number. So if you're working on a project, or if you think you got a project and you're looking for some estimating help or some numbers or some things don't look right, uh, reach out and
Right.
he'll help you. And like I said, I reached out, even on my own little empty nester gig that I was doing, because we're building it ourselves, acting as the contractor, and it'll be an experience if my wife and I don't, rip each other's hair out over a year. That'll be interesting in itself. Even though we've been together about 33 years, I'm just going to be like, honey, you're the interior designer of renovation. I just want to do the sticks, the concrete, and get the thing dry, and then you can do all the poo-poo stuff. I'm all game for you. But we got a nice crew. They can't wait to get going on that. So I'm looking forward. I'm just finishing up with my commercial loan, and then I got to get my porta potty permit, my clearing permit, my building permit, which will take probably 6 weeks. But looking to break ground probably by the end of February, and then rocking and rolling. And but like I said, we were just watching this thing on this framing video, and watching the inspector go.
Only you two would be looking at a framing
Yeah, no, we were.
you two together.
No, we looked, actually, in my digital thing, I just created another page called the Blueprint Buzz, and on there it's the do's and don'ts in construction. So I surf the web every day and I find new stuff to put on there, and it. So anyway, we were looking, and I was like, she said, "Hey, here, let's watch this framing guy go through, the inspector go through there," and we're both looking at each other, going, "Oh my God, who's our framer again?" And anyway, look, you get good. That's the one thing. If you pick the right people, it's like having a tool. Like this afternoon, we needed this certain kind of wrench. So uh, he went out and he's going to get it. If you have the right tools, you can do anything. But if you do it over and over again, you become an expert. So with the house, have I ever built a house? No, but I understand it and I know what has to go into it. I build my magazine every month. It's the same kind of thing. But if you find the right subs and the right people to get things done, that and you do your background, and you do your make sure that they've got referrals and everything else, that you don't have to babysit them, but you still have to be there to watch and to see that stuff is getting done. So it'll be exciting for us. I'm going to do a videography of the thing, and uh, it'll be interesting. I got to deal with the DNR because we're up by the lake, and all that kind of stuff. So, and they're not the easiest people to work with, but there's some good guys that we know up there, and but it'll be fun. I think the funnest part's going to watch all the trees go down. We're going to donate all the wood and stuff to a local guy that's coming to get it, so we're not going to waste any of that stuff.
Good.
And watching them fill, and then like I said, look, put the concrete in, get the sticks and frame up, get the roof, get the thing dry, and then it's all downhill from there. I mean, that's just the big stuff when you look at it, and then once it's finished, hopefully it'll be done less than a year. I'm thinking 12 months, but it could be less if everything goes smoothly. By the time next year, I'll be talking about, hey, we just moved into our house. So there you go. So
You'll have a new background.
yeah, no, actually, I think this is my last podcast of the year. So this is the last time. I was just thinking about how my background's going to look on the next one. So, I saved the best for last, with Mr.
Ooh.
Buckles in Pennsylvania,
Ooh.
my hometown, because I'm from right outside of Philly anyway. Um, so, uh, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, I'm at David C at ccr-mag.com. Listen, we look at everything. So, I'm gonna say it again. It's like playing the lottery. If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win. If you don't send me something, I can't look at it. And it's very tough getting in the magazine, but we post stuff all day long. And once again, we get a couple million people a month that hit the site, and send us something. Let us judge the book by its cover, and we send you the URL. You can share it. It's good for our SEO, which is search engine optimization. People find you on the web, and it's a win-win. So it could be an anniversary, it could be a new product announcement, it could be retirement, a golf charity tournament you've done. It. We look at everything. So send it to us. The more you send, the more we'll post for you. And normally turnaround time, 48 to 72 hours. And if you're an advertiser, you get in the VIP lane and we get your stuff up there. So, so Ralph, if there was one positive thought or phrase as we close out 2023 and we go into 2024, what would it be that you want to leave our listeners with on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk?
Stay positive. No fear. Just stay positive. Teamwork. That's the best way I can put it.
Hey, listen, I'm all about positive mindset. That's the one thing I've taken digital classes for the last year. I think I just got an MBA in online marketing, and it's been an amazing ride. Time well spent. I've spent a lot of time on Zoom. I've watched a lot of videos, and it's been an amazing ride. Uh, if I was going to leave, my positive thought or phrase, uh, going into 2024. I've used so many all over through the years. The bottom line is finish what you start.
Right.
That,
Yes.
because, I tell people, look, if you're going to, I told my digital specialist that I hired, I told her 2 weeks ago, I said, look, I want you to give me a New Year's resolution, but you got to give it to me on the 1st. And you're gonna fill out a piece of paper, and I'm gonna sign it. And then at the end of the year, we're gonna look back and see what you did. But it's got to be an obtainable goal, something that you can do every day. And one of the things that my tribe master, we call ourselves a tribe. I'm a tribe founder. Anyway, he said you got to treat your business like a pet. If you're not feeding your pet every day, your pet's going to perish eventually. So if you're not feeding your business, and then we're talking about sales and whatever that you're doing to grow it. Because listen, if you do $1,000 every month, just in simple numbers, you're not growing.
Nope.
So, but if you're feeding your business every day something that's making you scale your business and make more sales, or better returns on your investment, your ROIs increasing, that's what it's all about. So if I was going to leave my positive thoughts, treat your business like a pet and feed it the best food every day. Every day.
Yep.
And if you have to change it up, if things get a little boring, you change it up. But the bottom is you got to feed it every day. And if you start on January 1st, and then you look back at the end of the year on December 31st, you're going to have an amazing thing going, wow, that actually was very cool. So remember, feed your pet, and then make sure that you stay positive. Put the blinders on and go forward, right?
Right.
All right. Well, Mr. Buckles, pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the help on my estimating help as well. That was awesome. And so say goodbye from Denver, Pennsylvania.
Bye, folks. Have a great weekend, and it's been my privilege to visit with you.
Yeah, we appreciate your time. I'm going to sign off from Sugar Hill, just below the Beaufort Dam on Lake Lanier, about 25 miles north of Atlanta. And it's been a pleasure having you all on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. For those of you out there, listen, I can't thank you enough. A couple things before I sign off. Number one, if you're on a construction site, we want you to be safe. Okay, we want you to get home every night. Have dinner with your wife, your partner, or whatever, your kids, and catch some Z's and be able to, go and do it the next day. Number two, make sure you stay liquefied. See, I was just drinking my water here before. Dehydration, it's the worst. Gives you headaches. If you're out on the construction site, that's how you get mistakes. There you go. Stay liquefied. Doesn't matter if it's in the winter or in the summer. Stay liquefied. You're going to be that much better off. And number three, like Ralph said, you just got to stay positive. And listen, we want you to hit that like button too. So the algorithms on Google, they can help you find this episode and get the word out about Eno Enterprises and Mr. Ralph's expertise, on estimating and so forth. So with that said, Ralph, I look forward to seeing you. I'm doing an event in Philly. I think it's July. I have to look at the calendar, but I know I just got our event, so you got to come in so I can meet you in person. And for all you out there, listen, enjoy the rest of the weekend. You got tomorrow, and then listen, it's the holiday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Have fun. Don't work. Watch some football, some good games going on, and then boom, we're all going to get in and do it all over again. And before you know it, it's going to be December 31st, 2024. So with that said, we will see you all next time. Actually, we will see you in 2024 with our first episode. Thanks, Mr. Ralph. You're the best, all right?
Thank you, sir.
All right. Ciao. See you.
Bye-bye.